Chapter 1. She wasn't just here to visit the past. She came to rewrite it. Sometimes you don't even know what fate is hiding for you. Sometimes a single step, a single word, a single signal can turn your whole world into an ocean of lies. Sometimes destiny doesn't knock, it just breaks in. You end up falling, bleeding, shouting, and then you realize that no matter what you do, you can't escape. The more you run, the faster your fears catch up. Because in the end, everything is written in the stars. Denny's Lee Turkey. The night was too silent. Inside the dimly lit mansion, where candles flickered against golden walls, a scream tore through the stillness. Then, the heavy thud of a body collapsing to the ground. Blood seeped slowly across the velvet carpet, tracing a crimson river no one could stop. A trembling hand clutched a silver pen, then let it fall. It rolled away quietly, like a guilty witness escaping the scene. For a fleeting second, a face was visible, frozen between life and death. And then, darkness swallowed it whole. Hours earlier, there was a lake. Calm, so still it mirrored the sky itself. At its edge stood a little boy, holding a single blue flower. He turned to a little girl who waited shyly beside him and placed the flower in her hand. For a heartbeat, faces blurred, yet the feeling was as real as life itself. Innocence, purity, eternity. But then, the flower slipped from her fingers, sinking into the water, vanishing into silence. The girl reached out to touch him, only to find herself alone, running through dark woods. Macera gasped. She awoke as if surfacing from a long, suffocating sleep. Her chest heaved, her hand stretched into the emptiness, grasping for what was already gone. Then her eyes darted to the clock. Oh God, the trial! She shot out of bed, hair tousled, heart hammering. Late, as always. 30 minutes later, the courtroom buzzed with whispers. Papers rustled, tension hung heavy in the air. The judge tapped his gavel impatiently, eyes sharp behind thick glasses. Then she entered. Macera Yilmaz. Her black suit fit her perfectly, her steps calm yet confident, and that faint, knowing smile, enough to cut through the tension. Judge, stern, annoyed. Ms. Yilmaz, your client is half an hour late. Do you think this court is a comedy stage? Macera, lifting her chin, voice smooth. With all due respect, Your Honor, courtrooms can be more entertaining than any theater. The difference? Here, the ending isn't written by actors, it's written by evidence. A ripple of quiet laughter spread across the room. The judge scowled, but his lips twitched a hint of a smile he didn't want to show. The opposing lawyer, Mr. Tunch, straightened his tie and smirked across the room. Tunch said sarcastically, Your Honor, maybe Ms. Yilmaz should spend less time on theatrics and more on being punctual. Some of us are here to practice law, not put on a show. Macera, turning slowly to him, calm voice, eyes quietly fierce. Mr. Tunch, right? You're correct. Law is not a play. She walks gracefully toward the evidence table, each step echoing. That's why it's a tragedy when lawyers forget their lines. Gasps and soft chuckles spread through the courtroom. She picks up a thick folder, flips it open carefully, and holds a page high for everyone to see. Macera said, Exhibit A, the contract you proudly submitted. Except, she turns the page. This one has no signature. None. Just a photocopy of the signature block. The judge leans forward, frowning. The courtroom murmurs grow louder. She said with a sweet smile, sharp tone, Tell me, Mr. Tunch, do you plan to win with invisible ink? Or should we wait for the signature to magically appear? Mr. Tunch's face turns red. He shuffles his papers nervously. Macera said, walking back to her table, calm. With all due respect, Your Honor, if my client is guilty of being late, then the opposing counsel is guilty of presenting a document that doesn't even exist. The audience bursts out laughing. The judge bangs his gavel, but even he can't hide a twitch of a smile. Judge sighing, shaking his head. Order, order. Monsieur Maz. You are just. He pauses, almost smiling. Incorrigible, but effective. Motion sustained. This contract is dismissed. Macera bows lightly, as if on stage, then whispers to her assistant, Chichik. Macera, whispering, mischievous grin. Who needs theater when you have a courtroom? The judge rose from his bench, still shaking his head. Court adjourned, he declared, the gavel striking one last time. The room buzzed with murmurs, all eyes sneaking one last glance at the bold young lawyer who had just stolen the spotlight. Macera gathered her files with a proud, effortless grace. Chichik skipped to her side, eyes wide with admiration. Chichik, whispering, "You're unbelievable. Every time I think you've outdone yourself, you find a new way to humiliate the entire opposing counsel. What do you eat for breakfast, Macera? Do you eat fireworks?" Macera smirked, tucking a loose strand of hair behind her ear. Coffee. Black. Strong. And occasionally, the taste of victory. They both laughed as they pushed through the heavy courthouse doors. Sunlight poured over the marble steps, painting them in gold. For a moment, it felt like triumph itself. Then, her phone buzzed. She frowned, unlocking the screen. A message. Tonight, 8 p.m. The mansion. Attendance required. Her laughter faded. Her heart skipped a beat. That one word, mansion, pressed against her ribs like a knife. Chichik. Who's that from? Macera slid the phone into her bag, masking the storm inside with a cool smile. An old ghost. One I've been waiting to face. She glanced into the distance, her eyes sharp, burning with something between fear and resolve. The world thought today ended with a victory in court. But Macera knew. Meanwhile, across town, he sat at his desk, lost in thought, looking at the clock every 5 minutes. Today is the day, but I don't know why I feel anxious. Like something bad will happen. He took a deep breath. Everything is going to be okay, inshallah. Suddenly, the door burst open. A nurse entered in a panic. "Nurse, Dr. Huzur. You have to come now. The prisoner, Mrs. Dilek, she's on the rooftop, trying to jump." He froze. Shock washed over him like an earthquake cracking open his heart. Hayal. A flashback surged forward. Hayal, his twin sister, standing on a bridge. Mujaza, his nephew, was only 3 years old. Huzur had tried to catch her. He wasn't fast enough. Every single day since, that moment haunted him like a ghost tattooed to his soul. The nurse's voice broke the memory again. "Doctor, please. We're going to lose her." He didn't answer. He just ran. The elevator was occupied, so he bolted up the stairs, heart racing like a war drum. At the rooftop, he found her, Mrs. Dilek, barefoot, trembling, 1 foot already off the edge. A crowd had gathered. Phones. Murmurs.
"Silence! Everyone out!"
He shouted, voice like thunder. "I said right now." The crowd dispersed quickly. He stepped forward. "Don't come." "I swear I'll jump," she cried. "Okay," he said, calm but cutting. "Go ahead. Jump. Who's stopping you?" He raised his hands, stepping back. "Didn't you see? I sent everyone away. Just for you. To feel relieved." "What are you saying?" she snapped. "I'm saying be a coward." "Yes. It's the easiest way, isn't it? Run. No one will hold you back. Go ahead and end your pain. But just remember, you'll die once. Your son." He took a breath, eyes sharp. "He'll die every day." Dilek blinked. Her breath caught. "He'll grow up calling his mother a murderer. For killing his father, for making him an orphan, and twice. No one to hold his hand. No shoulder to cry on. He'll live in this life like a prisoner, and you. You'll finally be free." Huzur's voice rose like a tide. "This child will grow up cursing your name. He'll be devoured by grudge, hate, and loneliness. Do you even know how many killers started life like that?" "I do. Too many to count." Tears rushed to her eyes. "So go ahead," he finished coldly. "Free yourself. And leave him to suffer." His words pierced her like arrows. She gasped, stumbled backward, and finally collapsed to the floor, sobbing.
I didn't mean to. Oh, my poor Ali. My child. What did I do? What kind of mother thinks this would end her agony? How selfish I am.
He acted as if he were made of stone, like a mountain unmoved by the storm. But inside, fires and flames were devouring him, shuddering his soul into pieces. How painful it was to live this moment again, to watch someone on the edge, to feel the helplessness he felt with Hyle, replayed like a cursed lullaby. But this time, he saved a life. No, he couldn't save Hyle, but at least now he became a remedy for others. A shield between despair and death. The path was harsh, his words harsher, but he knew it. Sometimes, the truth must wound before it heals. It was better to speak the pain that others hide from than to lie with soft illusions. Better to tear down the veil than to offer false hope. He didn't need to say more. He simply turned to the nurse and said, "Take her away." He didn't even look back. Denny's Lee, 12 p.m. There she is, standing in front of the door. With every step forward, it feels like the walls around her tighten. Like a heavy rock pressing against her heart, squeezing the breath out of her lungs. The suffocation of this place, her so-called home, clings to her like a shadow. She entered and found her father, casually flipping through his daily high society magazine. "Hi, Dad," she managed, forcing a smile. "Hi, sweetheart," he replied, barely lifting his eyes before giving her a brief, inspecting glance. His gaze lingered, sharp and assessing. "Oh no. You're gaining weight again, sweetheart," he said with a hint of disappointment, his tone slipping into that familiar, condescending warmth. "We should work on that. I think we'll stick to salads this week." Her heart sank. "But, Dad, I just lost 4 kilos in the last 2 weeks, and..." "No," he cut her off, his voice dripping with the pretense of loving authority. "Macera, are you arguing with your father? Have I spoiled you too much, sweetheart?" He leaned back, his eyes gleaming with a twisted satisfaction. "We'll go prepare your favorite salad." Somehow, the brave, bold girl she becomes outside these walls disappears in front of him, as if his words cast a binding spell over her. A deep silence settles in, her eyes turning soulless, her smile hollow. She forces herself to believe, as always, that this is for her own good. He returned and said, "Don't forget your purpose today, Macera," he said in a low voice. "You owe me everything. You have to pay for it. You have to win back what we lost. Our name, our mansion, our honor. Never forget that your revenge is your redemption." He put the salad and went to his room. She took a deep breath, the words echoing in her mind like a haunting lullaby, and continued walking through the cold, empty corridors of the house, moving like a ghost among shadows. Ankara, same hour. The sun showered his sleek Mercedes, Benz with a golden glow as it pulled into the driveway. Huzur stepped out, adjusting his cuffs with the quiet confidence of a man in control. His polished shoes clicked against the marble steps as he approached the entrance. The grand old house, with its carved wooden doors and ivy-covered walls, seemed to sigh in relief at his arrival. "My queen? Grandma, where are you?" His deep voice echoed through the hallway, a subtle hint of warmth beneath his usually cold exterior. "Ah, Huzur, my child, my little child, I missed you." His grandmother's voice trembled with age, but sparkled with pure affection as she stepped into the light, her frail figure wrapped in a cream-colored shawl. Her eyes, still sharp despite the wrinkles framing them, lit up at the sight of her beloved grandson. Huzur crossed the distance in a few quick strides, bowing to kiss her trembling hand. No matter what I do, you will always see me as a little child, my queen," he said, a gentle smile breaking the usual severity of his features. "The nights may change and children grow up," she whispered, "but for me, you will always be my innocent little grandson. Whenever I sought hope after losing your parents, I looked at you. I see Zeynep's intelligence, nobility mixed with Halil's mercy and golden heart. I'm sure Hayal is watching us from above, proud of everything you're doing for Mujiza. You became more than an uncle for him. You are his only family, his miracle, my honey-eyed boy. Her voice wavered as a single tear slipped down her cheek. Without hesitation, Huzur reached up and gently wiped it away with the back of his hand, his touch both firm and tender. My grandmother, he replied, his voice low and strained. No matter how much I do, it's still not enough. I couldn't pull her out of her darkness. I died twice in my life. Once when I lost my parents, and the second when Hayal. His words faltered, the weight of unspoken grief tightening his throat. Oh, my child, she whispered, her heart breaking at the sight of his haunted eyes. Please, share your pain with me. Don't stay silent. You'll make yourself sick one day if you keep it all inside. How can a psychologist be so quiet? If I were your client, I wouldn't say a word to you. You'd scare me off with that silent stare, she teased. That drew a genuine chuckle from him. Ah, finally, you're smiling, she said, satisfied. He reached out, holding her hand a moment longer, his gaze softening as he whispered, I'm so glad to have you, my queen. She held his hand tightly, feeling the warmth of his pulse, a silent promise that as long as she lived, he would never face this storm alone. But Huzur knew, deep in his chest, that if he started to speak now, he might lose his breath again. The agony, the waves of grief and unspent rage, would rise and crash over him, shattering the fragile calm he had struggled to build. And so, he chose silence once more, for in that silence, he found his only peace, despite the burning chaos it concealed. Huzur squeezed his grandmother's hand gently, his tone turning more determined. Grandma, it's time we move to the new mansion. Everything is under control now. Uncle Hassan might think it's his, but he's just a guest in someone else's home. Her eyes sparkled with disappointment. But my child, it's not ours. Why did you do this? You helped that greedy Hassan take this house. We talked about your revenge, and you promised me you wouldn't let hatred blind you. He smiled faintly. This is the least I can do. It's only fair for Mujiza. He deserves a life better than what he's had. It's all because of that cursed lawyer, Macera Yilmaz. She took everything from us. Now that I have the chance to take something back, don't deny me the joy of it. I waited 2 years for this moment. It wasn't easy, but somehow it worked. And by the way, it's not stealing. We just applied the law, nothing illegal. So rest assured. Now come on, pack up and call Mujiza to gather his things, my queen. Back to Denizli, 5 p.m. After the whole family had settled down in the new mansion, the Yilmaz's former mansion, Hassan walked among the ornate decor, accepting congratulations from guests on phone with a smug grin. He moved like a king, his cunning smirk announcing his victory. I lived my whole life for this moment. No one can take what is mine anymore. It is well deserved, Hassan. Enjoy your day. How could I forget the papers? He exited like thunder, rushing to his office. Inside, little Mujiza sat playing with a toy plane, one gifted to him by Huzur. His small frame and pale face were full of innocence. Suddenly, the plane tipped and knocked a cup of tea over important documents. Panic overtook him. His heartbeat quickened, his limbs frozen in fear. He knew what Hassan was capable of. Hassan stormed in, his fury unmistakable. You little curse. What have you done? Useless creature. He lunged forward, hand raised. But Huzur was faster. He blocked the blow midair. Don't you dare touch him again. How dare you speak to me like that? I thought you'd be of use to me, but neither you nor this creepy little thing. Enough. Huzur's voice was sharp as steel. One more word, and you'll see a side of me you'll regret knowing. He turned to the girl nearby, the maid. Sihar, take Mujiza to his room and close the door. Once they were gone, he glared at Hassan. If you ever lay a finger on that child again, I swear, I won't be responsible for what happens next. With a final look of contempt, Huzur stormed out, slamming the door behind him. Hassan scoffed. Another version of Huzur? Pfft. We'll see who gets the last word when the fortune is mine. He muttered to himself, hatred simmering. His jealousy toward Halil, his brother, had been festering since childhood. Everyone adored Halil, the golden boy, the family's pride. That envy had now consumed him completely. In the mansion, 8 p.m., just 3 hours before the storm. Inside the mansion, the ceremony unfolded like a performance, velvet-draped tables, laughter too polished to be real. Beneath the golden chandeliers and watchful eyes, everyone wore masks of power and poise. Macera slipped away unnoticed, her heart thudding against ribs that had learned to stay silent. Through the dim servants' staircase, she climbed a heels in hand, breath tight, until she found the old iron door that led to the rooftop. The moment she stepped out, the world changed. She sat quietly atop the mansion's rooftop ledge. The wind kissed her cheeks, her eyes tracing the dusky horizon. Up here, the air felt real. In these moments of solitude, she could breathe. No expectations. No need to smile. No courtroom, no broken home. Here, she wasn't a lawyer. She wasn't a daughter. She was simply herself, whatever remained of her. But the calm didn't last. It never did. Memories rose like ghosts. Her mother's laughter echoing in the halls, her childhood footsteps running through this very roof chasing paper flowers gifted to her by a very special person. The ache returned, deep and sudden. Her foot slipped. She gasped, arms flailing. And then, a hand caught her wrist. Firm. Alive. Her breath stopped. So did time. She looked up and stared into his eyes. Hazel green, wide with alarm. His chest rising, lips parted as if he, too, couldn't believe it. It was Huzur. Their eyes locked. Neither of them blinked. A silence fell that was louder than the party below. It wasn't just surprise. It was recognition. Like two old storms colliding at sea. She whispered, "You." Then louder, sharper. "You. I've been searching for you." Her voice cracked like thunder. His brows drew in. "Searching for me?" She pulled her hand back, eyes blazing. "You saved me just now, but mark my words, you'll regret it." "Mr. Huzur Aslan, you stole everything from us. You think this mansion is yours? You think this life makes you powerful? No. Everything you have, this house, the clinic, that title, it was mine. My father's. You're just playing king in someone else's castle." She jabbed a trembling finger toward his chest. He didn't move, just stared at her with unreadable calm. Then, slowly, he reached out, took her finger, and lowered it gently. "First," he said, voice like steel wrapped in silk, "never point that finger at me again. Second." He stepped closer, and she refused to back down. "You didn't lose this house because of me. You lost it because your kingdom was already rotting from the inside. And third, do whatever you want. Scream. Sue. Pretend you're strong. I don't care." He turned. His footsteps on the rooftop echoed like distant drums of war. Then, without turning back, "Oh, and enjoy the party. Make yourself at home, if you still remember how." She stood there, fists clenched, the wind whipping through her hair. Her cheeks burned, her chest heaving. "You'll see what Macera Yilmaz is capable of," she shouted after him. But he was already gone, vanished down the stairs like a shadow that had haunted this place long before she returned. Her voice dropped to a whisper. "What does he think he is? How arrogant, how cheap." And then, to herself, "Relax, Macera. Don't fight with rage. Fight with wisdom." She looked down at the mansion below, lights flickering like fireflies over a battlefield. "He may have the house now, but I'll take back my entire world." A slow exhale escaped her lips. Now the storm begins. A storm that brews not in the sky, but behind Majera's poised smile, in the steel of her gaze, and the fire of every step she takes from this moment on. She wasn't just here to visit the past. She came to rewrite it.